Go. So, hello everyone, and welcome back to Factorio. So let's click resume and figure out what we're doing. I believe when we last left off, we had this factory here on Vulcanus that is making legendary quality copper and iron, and we were just trying to scale those up a bit. And so I believe this was sort of the final setup there. And the main limiting factor are the quality modules, of course, which are mostly being limited by supply of legendary copper wire, if I'm remembering all of this correctly. And plastic will probably be an issue at some point in the near future, but it isn't one currently. So that is all good. And for these ones, the biter eggs are an issue for the productivity modules. For the quality mod, sorry, my scroll wheel is completely messed up. Like, it just doesn't work at all. Like, this is me scrolling, like, in and out. Like, it just constantly gives the wrong order, so if you see that jittering, that's what's going on there. But anyways, so we have all this set up, and they're producing. And so what we need to do is go to some of these guys and get them to request batches of 1,000, and let's give you a minimum payload of 100 just to be sure, and do the same thing for all of these. We want you to be carrying 1,000 of that, but we want you to send the rockets up as long as there's like some of it. And same thing for you. Legendary copper plates, 1,000. Minimum payload of 100. And I set those all to legendary, right? Yeah, I did. Very cool. Okay, and then we need to get these to import from the correct location, because we want to grab these from Vulcanus. And boom, done. Okay, so currently there's 96 of those available on the planet, so that will eventually do something, which should be all good. And then we go to novice, and we need you to request them. Gosh, you don't realize how much you scroll in this game until your scroll wheel is completely messed up. Alright, then you are going to request a whole bucket load of those. And so that should get us going automatically. And then what we need to do is we need to have... So we have this one machine. We have this one machine which makes those, but only from this, which we don't want. So we need some way of doing this, and let's just get a couple extras of those in, give them productivity modules because we might as well, and then those are just going to be fed via a requester chest, which will feed in here. And so that all goes in. This will be set to legendary copper plates, but we want it to be not quite like that. So hang on. We want we also want to keep our store of copper plates here, right? So we don't want to completely get rid of those. So what we need is actually, okay, let's get arithmetic combinator somewhere in that area. We need to feed it from the drone port so that you know how much is in the overall network. So you are going to be legendary iron plates minus 500, and then output as legendary copper cable. And then you connect down to there, and you are going to be set requests. Or, right, no, I'm dumb. This doesn't need to be legendary copper cable, this needs to be legendary copper plates. So we have that, then we don't need that group assigned, so this will now request the appropriate amount and send them through. And then we can just get these set up to work normally. And as long as they can have access to their items, then they'll be good to go. Now, currently we haven't got any productivity modules for these, which is a shame, because that is going to be just kind of wasted, but it's fine. It's not going to be the most efficient setup in the world, but it should get there eventually. Okay, then we need to get power poles covering all of those, and then get them powered up. Alright, so that should be good to go. So that should make us our legendary copper wires. As long as we have enough copper plates that it's not an issue. And there we go. Just like that, we're going to have a good solid chunk of them in the short term, because all this is running. And that hopefully will help us out just temporarily. But that... So that's going to give us a nice big burst of stuff, but it's going to run out pretty soon. So at least we'll get some, and then we can figure out how many of those we have. We're up to 3. And then over on Vulcanus, this is still working. Right, all these guys are still producing away. It looks like they did send some of the copper up. Not sure which of these ended up receiving it. This one got 100, yes. So we're going to get a delivery of 100 legendary copper plates from Vulcanus in just a little bit. And then this can all go. And let's just check the productivity modules, right? So these are still not getting the biter eggs that they need. They have just about everything else. I guess red circuits are also missing. So what's up with the red circuits? They're all getting converted to blue circuits. Yeah, that makes sense. That's the thing that happens. And we're still just short on the copper wire for all of this. Yep. Alright. So that has one. There is one legendary biter egg sitting in there for the next hour until that has to be used. That shouldn't be an issue. If that is an issue, we have serious problems. So plastic is going. Nothing wrong with the plastic. You're up to 5 legendary quality modules in our reserves, which is not incredible, but it's something. And these guys are still working on that. Okay, so all of the red circuits, pretty much, the vast majority of them are going to make blue circuits, it seems. No, because those are now short on green circuits, which means that these are actually getting through, which should be good, right? That should mean we're getting enough of these to be fine. So you are occasionally getting red circuits, and then this whole thing just has to trickle through. Yeah, big red circuit demands to get all this working. But hopefully it'll get there. And this is the space platform with the copper plates on it. And these are back up to a couple each. Let's get that. So over here on the iron side of things, I had an arithmetic combinator which just counts up how many are being produced. Let's just get one of those on here. So we have that. Then we need to copy paste its settings. So that, and then it reads from there and feeds into itself. And this is read hand contents pulse. And this is set to copper plates. Okay, so that should read us how many of these are getting made. And it does look suspiciously like we're not using enough of these fast enough. So, yeah, if this just keeps going up like this, then we're going to have problems. So you are spending a lot of time output full. So yeah, really, it's just kind of awkward that both of these feed directly into the recycler. Is it feasible to get them to both feed directly into a box? No, the spacing doesn't quite work for that to be direct. You could obviously just have a belt, and it wouldn't be a huge issue. Or we could just, like, shift this whole thing over a little bit. No, wait. Could we? Yeah, actually we could, I think. So, let's see here. Let's get that box. So the box goes there, and that's going to cause power issues. So then this outputs directly into the box, not directly into the recycler. Then this needs to shift slightly over as well, which it can do perfectly fine. And let's get all of these settings in. So something like that. And now that gets built up. Now we put the power back in. And then this box then is the thing which feeds down to the recycler. And wait, actually we don't technically need this to feed into the box, I think. I think it's fine for just this one to do that. Okay, so then, now that we have the buffer chest, we're going to read you. And you are going to be enable, disable off of just that box if regular copper plates are greater than, like, 400, let's say. And then this box... Oh, right, this is copper wire in there. So... Oh, wait, no, you do need to be less than, so that you run while it's low and not while it's high. Okay. So now, if we just copy-paste this arrangement in down to all of these, like so, and then remove their direct insertion into the recycler, that should be that problem solved, hopefully. And I wish we could... Okay, now here's the... Yeah, so we don't want that, actually. We want this just to be the way that it is, so that this one can hopefully get more priority. And so now this outputs directly to the recycler, whereas this only outputs to here. And then... How do we do this? We want, I think... I wish we could tell, like, this inserter to be lower priority than that inserter. And this is where having them both input into the box would be more convenient. Because, yeah, this isn't doing anything now. This is just completely stalled. Okay, no, it is technically running occasionally, but it's not doing very well. So... let's see. Now, if you did feed directly into that box, then we have this, and you will stop once this gets overfilled, whereas you will just always be going. Okay, yeah, so I think this is like the final setup that we want to have at the end of the day. So now this is running around the clock, and feed it into the buffer chest, and everything should be good to go. And yeah, hopefully. So this is not... Okay, now here is the problem. We want you... You'd really rather put higher quality recycles in here first rather than copper cables. And how do we solve that? Do we need another decider combinator? Man, this would all be a whole lot easier if this were just like physically slower. I wonder if we can... I wonder if we could just set the speed on this output to just be slower by default, so that the rest of this system can all catch up. So this is doing almost 10 copper wire per second, and this is doing another 9-ish. So, but this can only take 12. So really, we need this to be running at like a third the rate that it's running at. We need it to be slow. So, let's see here. If we just get like... Let's see, how do we do this? If we just like slow down the inserter, then maybe it'll work. Okay, so let's try to do something. There's got to be some way of slowing down the inserter. So, if we feed you into there, you would be... Oh wait, we could just set stack size, right? And that would probably help. So like basic stack size is 12. And it's like slightly more than 2 rotations per second. So if we want this to be slower, what if we just set the stack size on these? We might not even need the decider combinators. What if we just override stack size to 2? So now you are feeding a whole lot less items into this. And it's mostly coming from this machine. Okay, did I do something wrong here? Or is this just not produced even a single thing? Yeah, it should be fine. It should be fine. Probably just hasn't produced anything since I last checked. Okay, so yeah, now this box seems like it's decreasing. And all the rest of these are just working for some unknowable reason. So let's get those settings across. And we'll see if that works. So now this is item ingredient shortage. And why is that? You should be set to make uncommons, but you're just making... Oh, did you not get connected in to that? Yeah, you probably need that connection to be rebuilt in order for it to work properly. Okay, so that should be fine. We should be all good now. We're getting a whole bunch of legendary copper wire, which unfortunately is just going to be recycled down because we just didn't necessarily account for that in this design. But that's fine. It's just a little bit inefficient. That legendary copper wire will get converted. Oh, hang on. Here's something. We're putting a couple of plates into there from when we swapped recipes. Yeah, I guess that makes sense, and I don't think it'll break things necessarily. Because it is a recycler at the end of the day. It can just take the copper plates and recycle them down as well without completely collapsing. So yeah, now all those copper plates are gone. And this is just running again as usual. Although it does kind of seem like there is some issues with this. Like, this still doesn't look like it is actually decreasing much, if at all. So this is output full, really not all that often. Do we need to set you all the way down to 1 in order for that to work? There's got to be an easier way of doing this. Just like directly setting how fast this can output. Because that's 9. This is almost 13. So this should be allowed to be a little bit less than 4. So like 3-ish if we were being safe per second. Now, if we want to do 3-ish per second, let's set the stack size to 3. Connect you up to a decider combinator. And then this decider combinator. Okay, so stack size is 3, enable, disable. So this decider combinator needs to be a clock, basically. So we get clock is less than 61, maybe? I don't know. Then you output clock of 1. No, I think it's input count, right? And then we get a constant combinator as well, feeding into that. And then you recycle past yourself. Then this has a value of clock. So now this should be counting up. And you are going to be enable, disable on... wait, no, not you, but you are going to be enable, disable on clock is greater than 59, maybe. So now you should be delivering approximately 3 per second. And that should be all cleared. Now currently this has no recipes because it doesn't have enough of anything to run. And that's probably fine. Okay, so then we need to copy paste this whole thing across to all of these guys. And so those should now be under control and producing the amount that we want. And this is showing that this machine has produced 34 legendary copper plates, which is probably correct. And that has no recipe because this isn't getting enough stuff. So now if we just set the stack size onto this to the amount per second that we want, then it'll be good. Although if we want to be more precise, then we'll need to change how long this clock runs for. Because currently this isn't hardly getting anything. So let's override stack size up to 6 for now. And that should get this running a whole lot better. Now, okay, wait. This outputs 1.6 copper plates per second, whereas these take 2.5, so these aren't doing 9 per second ever under realistic circumstances. These would only be running half the time, so they're going to be more like 4. So yeah, let's try calling that 8 for now. And we just need... The problem is it's not going to be consistent, right? So this is going to build up, and then this is going to run continually for a while, and then stop for a while. So that means that just having this be at a steady rate, maybe with the buffer chest it's fine. It might be fine with the buffer chest to have this be running at a steady rate of 6 per second. Because it basically needs to either be doing full speed ahead while this isn't running, or very slow while it is. And I guess you can read working and set the stack size based on that. That seems like that's getting very complicated. Okay, let's try it though. Let's get one of you. Feed you into here. You are going to be read working. And your control signal will be some signal. Let's pick alarm signal. I don't know. It just needs to be some signal that we aren't using otherwise. So you are going to be let's see here. If alarm signal equals 0, output 12, and that 12 will be in S because that's the stack size controller thing for this. So then that goes down to here and sets the stack size to 12. So now this is going at 12 per second, which, I mean, it should be approximately max speed for this. It's pretty close at least. And so that is going. It should be better than this though. Like, this is still not doing it most of the time. Yeah, I don't know what to do about this. Let's take those out and stop having you be enable disable. Just have you run as fast as you can. So the problem is a lot of the times your stack size isn't getting to be 12. It's just being whatever it is. And then if this is running, then we need it to be slower to give this priority. This whole system is very complex. Very complex. Trying to get it to work perfectly. So this is doing that. I wish there was an else. I really wish there was an else in a single decider combinator. Alright, so now this is running and it's making rare wire. So that's going. That is going. And the rest of these all seem to be more or less working, but not very fast. So right now, the stack size here is, yeah, it's still doing 12 for some reason. So you aren't working. Yeah, I just have no idea what's going on anymore. We'll just think here. I mean, we could just slow this down by having a higher ratio of productivity modules to quality modules. That is a thing that we can do if we want. It's kind of weird to do it that way, but maybe that's just how it has to be done. So if we set that in, this should wind up being crafting speed minus like 60%. We do have one of those apparently, because that's not showing up as a demand on Vulcanus. Yes, so now... Oh no, it's only minus 40% crafting speed. So it's actually just like basically the same. It's like basically the same, except, well, yeah, we don't want that. We don't want that at all. It's not going to do nearly enough. Okay, so yeah, now we're having this problem again where this is filling up. And I really just wish there was just a way of having both of these insert directly, but this one has priority. It feels like that should be an option that exists. But I can't think of how to do it. So we've got those two both inputting. So those now both input directly, and we ignore this whole side box thing. Is there some way of... Oh, wait. Yes, actually, I think if we just connect those two directly, you're going to be read hand contents hold, and you are going to be enable disable if anything... No, wait. This needs to be if everything equals 0. So, if there's nothing in this inserter, then this inserter will be on. Otherwise, this inserter will be off. I think that should work and be a whole lot smoother than all this mess that we have up here. So let's just copy-paste that in. And that's just like this area here. Oh, right. The spacing is slightly different on some of this stuff. So we copy-paste you down, and now we copy-paste this area in wholesale. And now that should be a thing. All of this stuff can go. And then it should just work. Okay, so now hopefully this will just work and produce what we needed to do. That's all going. And should be fine. Okay, now if we go back to Novice, where all this stuff is happening, we have a biter egg in there, but we are still missing on the red circuits, which are still missing copper wire. And this is just doing its thing. So currently we have 497 copper plates there. Now surely at least one of you guys will have some of these guys in. Yeah, so Vulcanist Support 3 has 100 copper plates in stock, so that's something. It's going, slowly but surely. And it's just left recently, so it'll take quite a while to get back. Meanwhile, the local copper plate setup, this is just doing its thing. Nothing is broken here, it's just kind of slow. And gosh, I sure do wish my scroll wheel worked. Okay, let's get rid of that, because that's not relevant to what we're doing here. That was just to filter out some excess stuff that we had. We don't need to do anymore. Okay, so this is all going. Over on Vulcanus, I believe this setup, we had something up here for all this, and yeah, that's not happening anytime soon. That's taking a whole lot of items which we don't need. So one alternative to just make this stuff go faster would be we could just like get higher quality recyclers into these spots, and then it would work better. And we do have higher quality recyclers somewhere, but not very many of them, and they're kind of hard to get. So this, meanwhile, is still doing its thing. We are getting the occasional copper wire out. Now, how much... Well, like, what exactly is the ratio? This is 645 copper plates to make one productivity module 3. Now, that is without any productivity. So we have a bit of an advantage there. But, yeah, very, very expensive in terms of copper plates. So, yeah, we have very good productivity modules everywhere along the line. Not legendary quality, but still very good. So it's not going to be 645. Let's see, each of these is 145% productivity. So that's... I mean, that's... Each step is doubled, basically. So it takes half as many copper wires to make green circuits as it should. It takes half as many green circuits and copper wires to make red circuits as it should. It takes half as many red circuits as it does to make blue circuits as it should. So that 645 number sort of disappears pretty quickly into probably less than 100, but still a lot. Still a lot more than anyone would ever be happy with. But it's going. It is certainly going. So this is 1 to 4.9 per second. This is like 3 to 11.9 per second. Yeah, we need these productivity modules in here. We need those productivity modules to show up. And unfortunately, it's just kind of painfully slow. We're up to 12. Up to 12 of those. So that's something. That's... What? How many does this step take? This takes 4, 8. So each one of these takes 11 legendary quality modules. So we could like add one more onto here, which is not that many. Oh boy, this is pretty rough. So we're very much just like slowly grinding out the copper, and we just need to keep increasing that, right? So we check back here. The plastic demand is substantially less. It's 210 each, in theory. So yeah, plastic demand is substantially less than copper demand. So there's no real need to move on to upgrading plastic production yet. Yeah, we have 66 spare. So, let's see. This is actually just like the full production chain all in one step. So this is all the plastic we need, and it's not that many. So yeah, we just need to keep taking all these provider chests, all these legendary quality modules, just bring them over to Vulcanus to get more quality. And copper is the major limiting factor at this point. I think we have plenty of iron. Let's check on the iron supply. We have made 200 out of this machine alone. So yeah, iron supply probably good to go. We can actually check just directly in here. We have 1,000 legendary iron in logistic storage. Yeah, that's plenty. Got 70 spare plastic bars in logistic storage, and that 1,000 is on top of the 100 here and the 100 here. So we're all good on the iron front. We just need to expand the copper out. So let's copy you and paste you down, but then disconnect one of the pipes because we're going to need to get the modules in. And we do have some modules here on Vulcanus already. So this should be doable. Right? It's not saying we're missing any legendary quality modules here on Vulcanus. Although now that those pop up, yeah, now they are showing that. So we are 6 legendary quality modules short of building this. And you are just running off of the random molten copper that got in the pipes there. That's funny. Okay, let's get a drone port down so that this can be all set up and ready to go once we want to connect it. So yeah, we're missing 1, 2, 3 legendary modules there, 1, 2, 3 legendary modules there. I guess we technically have some legendary modules. We have some modules in this system, and it's molten copper, it's basically free, so I guess we'll connect it up to get something out of it. And then transport platform, obviously you don't have any of those currently, so you can just go back to Novice to start grabbing some of those supplies. And how fast is this going? This is up to 75. So it does sort of produce them in bursts whenever it gets around to building the epic quality items. So that's a slight weirdness about this. It is producing them. It's got 40, that's got 12, that's got 30. Yeah, we have actually pretty good stockpiles available in most of these. And I imagine that these guys have nothing, because why would they have anything? Yeah, mostly... Okay, you have 100 legendary copper plates, so that's something, and you're actually just about to arrive and deliver them. Yep, there they go. So Novice is going to get to actually do a bit more of this stuff for now. And so we should see those arrive in one giant burst just about now. There they are. And they immediately all get sent out. And here we go. There's a whole bunch of copper wire. And we should probably... Actually, what we should do is just replace these with regular productivity modules, because it's better than nothing, and it'll be a while before those get the ones that they want. So that'll help out. We should have done that earlier. Obviously, we sort of missed our opportunity. But it'll help out. Every little bit counts. Productivity modules seem to have quite a long journey to get down here. And here they are. Okay, so that'll help out. Get all that stuff being used a bit better. And then this has 14 of those. Now, where's transport platform? You're still on your way, and you're going to pick up everything that we have when you show up. Okay, so that's all fine. Everything there is just sort of going along as usual. Hopefully we can get a couple more of these produced. It's funny to just sort of see like the individual items go along on this belt and instantly get gobbled up. Alright, there, all the red circuits are going through. And yeah, I mean that burst of copper is just instantly gone. Although we might be able to get another quality module legendary out of it. So when this finishes, it should go along to here, and I believe it's 4 to get there. Yes, so that will give us at least one more, hopefully maybe a second. No, only the base machine's productivity bonus because it's technically not an intermediate product. But it is actually kind of going a little bit. So there we go. That is that, and we have 15 of them now. And now we're just waiting even more. Transport platform is almost here. And over on Vulcanus, I believe I checked, and like the amount of molten copper we produce is insane compared to how much we use. Yeah, it's completely preposterous. Okay, let's actually see if this were to just be doing regular casting copper, that would be 3.75 copper plates per second, which would be more than this machine can handle. So that would just make this whole thing even faster, which I don't think is what we want. Yes, I think it might be slightly better. I don't think it makes a huge difference, though. So if we were to do that, then we would make iron plates from these, and then we would convert them into wire, and then we would recycle them, and then we'd have more iron plates to convert into wire, and it would just be a little bit more complicated, I think. I guess maybe it would be fine, but who knows. Okay, this is output full. How have you been output full this whole time? So you're just going. Why are you... You're set up properly, right? Read belt contents, hold. And you are enable, disable. Oh, so this won't even pick things up. This won't even pick things up until it knows it can send them through. So that's what's happening with that. Okay, so it's kind of curious that this one is just completely stalled while all the other ones are going fine. I guess it must be because this is significantly faster than these, because it doesn't have the extra quality modules slowing it down. Okay, so now that we know that this doesn't work, we need you to instead... Okay, what if you read from there? No, I can't really do anything useful with that. Well, we did accidentally stop it temporarily, I think, so that's something at least. Yeah, who knows. It should be fixed once the modules show back up again. So transport platform is above novice, and it's not getting enough of anything to fill a rocket. There are no productivity modules at all. Okay, set your minimum payload. Okay, minimum payload here was already set to 20. Let's set that down to 15. Oh, I see you already have them. You already picked them up. Okay, that's fine then. You can go back up to 20 and head back to Vulcanus with some of those quality modules. Now if we check out here, that's all still just waiting. How many copper plates did we wind up building up? Actually, we have a decent amount here. So hopefully the next ship to come by will be ready to go. Which one of you? It's going to be Vulcanus Support 3 again. It's going to be the first one to make it back to Vulcanus. And it's going to get all this copper. That's going to be pretty neat. Okay, so if we're getting 22 in, and we have 6 that we're still waiting on, then we'll have... Then we should have 16 to spare, and these only take 11. So let's... Can we actually just paste this? I don't think I've copied anything else since. Yes, we can. So let's just get the next one built up and disconnected, just so that it's all built and ready to go for when the modules show up. And Vulcanus is still only waiting on modules, so all the rest of this stuff is fine. And these ones up here are doing okay, right? You have no recipe because there's not much in here, so that's good. That's basically the situation we want to see, this showing no recipe. Okay, so transport platform is on its way. It's faster than all these guys by a lot, so it'll probably show up first. So that should be fine. And a lot of this is just buying time for this to slowly grind through. Like, we could do other stuff, but it's all just going to be deadlocked behind the legendary quality modules. Because, like, the next thing that we need to be doing is making legendary plastic, which is obviously also going to need a whole lot of legendary quality modules. So just sort of chilling here for a bit. So, transport platform on its way back. I guess I could just, like, make faster space platforms to make these trips better. I don't think that's necessary, though. I think the way we have it now is fast enough for all practical purposes. Like, it would be marginally more convenient to have it faster, obviously, but even then, it's not really that big of a difference. And I mean, we are just, like, buying time for machines to work at this point, no matter what we do, so, like, eh. So this is showing 85, and there's 50 in its provider chest, which means the majority of the production has happened quite recently, actually. And it's about to hit another cycle of crafting regular wire. All the rest of these guys are going. Transport platforms almost here. Space platform, Vulcanus Support 3, also like 2/3 of the way through. And that's all well and good. The iron production, meanwhile, is frankly going much better. Like, it also has all these things, but it has more lines, and it's been going longer. This is showing 220 some items produced. Okay. Transport platform. You are so close. So close to being able to build all this stuff in. Even this one has made one legendary copper plate, which is not incredible, but it is something. Okay, so this is all going. Alright, transport platform is here. Send down those quality modules. Is Is any of the rest of this stuff needed? No, it is not. So the quality modules will show up and fill all these demands. We just need so many of the dang things. Like, we need 20 billion of them at any given moment. They are very much the major limiting factor behind everything that we do here. Alright, so they've all shown up. They're getting flown in now. And we did build this whole thing kind of like weird, kind of far away from all that stuff. So it's a bit of a delay for the drones. Not much of one though. So those all get built up. And now we can connect that, and all of these can now start producing. So that's another like 1.5-ish added. And I guess we have like 5 extras, which is not really enough to do anything important. Okay, now, in the meantime, all these have been drained. Vulcanist Support 3 is here. And it didn't wind up with any. Are they still being launched? They're probably still being launched. Yeah, that's showing 100 on the way. And actually the number available on planet is spiking like crazy. What just happened? No idea what that was about. So those are on their way. Will they even make it here? It's waiting for rocket to arrive. So yeah, it's waiting for these copper plates to show up so they can say that it's all good. And also apparently some calcite. So we're using a fair amount of calcite back on Novice because we're using it for a couple things. Alright, so that's the first wave of those here. And we're going to get another 100 copper plates up in a second. And 500 calcite as well. So there's the calcite landed, and the copper plates are here, and we're waiting for even more calcite apparently. That's probably just going to keep launching. Don't have calcite shortages, got plenty of it, and it's just a matter of like how long it takes to launch a rocket or two. Yeah, we are filling multiple rockets with calcite. Do we have drone port? How many spare bots do we have? Plenty. Seems like we have plenty of spare bots. So that's all fine. So this delay is certainly adding some extra time on, but apparently we need the calcite. And actually, speaking of things that we need, Vulcanist Support 3 currently doesn't have any coal at all. Why is that? So you're short on carbon. Okay, so that's just these guys up here, which need carbon, and this is just slowly building up to the point where that happens. The way that these systems work is kind of weird, but I'm pretty sure they do work. So this should hit 40 and then direct some up to here, and then these will produce carbon, which will then set all of this through and unlock some of this carbon as well, and then it'll all go. So yeah, that's happening. No problem there. Apparently now we're also getting tungsten plate. We're also getting tungsten plates sent up. By the time this is ready to leave, there's going to be another decent amount of copper plates, hopefully. So it is just kind of painfully slow. It works in these massive bursts, so it's super hard to predict like a stable rate. And the more of these we have, the more it'll all average out. Like You know, if one of these isn't doing anything while the other one is doing something intermediate, then it'll eventually equalize out, but until that happens, it's going to be kind of wildly inconsistent. And the iron plates are like that too. Because this is still showing 225 like it was quite a while ago at this point. Okay. Anything else to be doing in the meantime? Unclear. Very much unclear. We can't improve the copper plate production without more quality modules, which we need more copper plates for. So we're just sort of stuck in limbo for a bit. Which it is what it is, obviously. It'll get there eventually. We are getting a slow trickle from here, and hopefully an increasingly less slow trickle from Vulcanus. And we're just going to keep on upgrading Vulcanus until we get there. Now, productivity modules, also mostly just waiting on copper wires. So the biter eggs aren't an issue either. I guess let's just do something productive in the meantime. So we can start prepping Gleba, because we want to be making legendary stuff here, because it's like the best way of getting legendary plastic probably is through the biochamber recipe. Where's that? Yeah, this guy here. And in order to do that, we need legendary Bioflux and legendary Yumiko Mash, and Bioflux, of course, is just Yumiko Mash and Jelly. So we need legendary Jelly and legendary Yumiko Mash. Now, what I want to do is I want to set up the sort of scalable things that we have been doing on Vulcanus, where it's just like a relatively small blueprint that does everything we need it to do, and it just works, and then we can place it a bunch of times. Now that's going to be harder on Gleba, because obviously we need to deal with spoilage and stuff, but might as well get started. So, let's just find somewhere where we have, like, a decent amount of space, like just up here north of everything. And again, we're trying to make these relatively small setups. So, we start with a biochamber, and the biochamber is going to make Yumiko processing. And once we have this figured out, then we'll just be able to paste it the same way for the jelly, so that's not a concern. So, we have a biochamber which does Yumiko processing. Then preferably feeds into a recycler, which we're going to need to get. So Gleba support, you are going to be requesting recyclers from Novice, and that'll show up eventually. So you just direct insert. There shouldn't be any wait period for this. Like, it should just go. But it could cause problems. So what we can do is just have an intermediate provider chest, or we could just have it directly filter out spoilage from its own inventory. So what this does is this provider chest, we can just set it to actually this wouldn't be a provider chest, I think. No, yeah, this would be, maybe. And then we just set it to destroy spoilage. No, wait, that doesn't work because we can't set what we do there. Okay, so instead, let's have just a direct outlet from the machine. So we have something like this. This feeds... This would have to be filtered to prevent us from just recycling spoilage. So you would be... Any rarity of Yumiko Mash can go through there. And then you would be filtered for spoilage only. And then once the spoilage is out, we can obviously just throw that in however we plan to be disposing of it. So, we have this. And this, I think, will output the fruits. I think. Unless Yumiko Mash recycles into itself, which is very possible. I don't know how to check that, actually. So, we're just going to need to get the recyclers over and actually just build this so that we can see how it works exactly. And that requires yet more waiting on space platforms. So Gleba support is like most of the way there. Most of the way to Novice, where it can pick stuff up. I guess let's look over on Vulcanus while we wait for that. This is doing its thing. It's now up to a total of 88 items per minute. Not items per minute, items total. God, that would be nice if that were items per minute, then we would have no problems at all. But it's just going. We don't have any surpluses of anything in any of these boxes. Everything is within the range. Actually, this technically has a bit of a surplus of base plates, so I don't know what's up with that. And this one definitely does. Hopefully that's fine, though. Hopefully that's fine. The older ones up here, which have been running longer, don't have problems. So let's just assume that that is how it works, and this is just some weird stuff back from when they were running without full modules. Hopefully. Okay. Gleba support is back. It's picking up the recyclers. Is there anything else we need? Yes, actually. We need... Okay, well, we're not going to be able to get quality modules. But let's get productivity modules sent up at least. Just so that we have something to do. Because I'm pretty sure Gleba doesn't have tier 3 modules of any kind. So let's get those. Let's also request speed modules. So all those are requested. So now Gleba support should be able to load us up with some stuff to get this factory going. And how's your power? Fine-ish. Adding all these tier 3 modules might cause problems, but hopefully not. Okay, so let's go back up to looking at this. Now, if we assume that these recyclers are going to output the fruits, then we need another biochamber here, which obviously is going to be fed by a box, and it'll be like this. And oh wait, not quite like that. We want it to be like this, just so that it can do that setup as we've done back on Vulcanus. And then we have our rare filter out here. So you're rare filtered, you are blacklisting rares. And then we need to worry about getting the nutrients in. So all of this should be running like instantly, right? And then there shouldn't be any massive stockpiles in here, although there will be some small stockpiles. I don't know, maybe it just recycles into itself and then it's fine. We do want to use the biochambers in the Yumiko Mash because that'll let us use productivity modules to be more efficient overall, rather than just recycling back into recyclers and not getting productivity bonuses to catch us back up. Now, is there some, like, elegant way of getting the nutrients through here? So we could just, I mean, we could obviously just do something like this, right? And then looping back out to that would be fine. That would be fine. Let's get a drone port up there, because I think we don't have proper coverage. Alright, so that's all set up. Gliba support has all the modules, and it has the recyclers. So that should be on its way. And then we just place a power pole in there to get that all finished off. That is low power just because I placed it recently, not because we actually have some power crisis. That all looks fine. Okay, and then we need to go back to Vulcanus to copy-paste all of these so that we can just plop those down. And does Gliba need... Of course, Gliba doesn't have selector combinators. Okay, how do you make a selector combinator? Advanced circuits and decider combinators. Do you have decider combinators? Production here. Because if you don't, and we just have a stockpile of them, then that'll be a bit complicated. And I think we just have a stockpile of them. So we need copper cables, electronic circuits, and advanced circuits. And are we sure we don't have any anywhere here? They would be up in this corner if they existed, but they don't. Okay, so let's just get this set up. So we have a box out here. You make decider combinators. You have a requester chest. And you are just going to be set up. Read ingredients. Set requests. And then you get powered. Gliba doesn't have landfill somehow, or just regular old landfill. How is that possible? Could have sworn Gliba had landfill. Okay, so we've used up this whole relatively small stone patch. That makes sense. Does Gliba support do anything to deliver landfill? No. Alright, where is the next nearest stone patch? I guess there's this one out here. Kind of. Alright, make that a passive provider chest. And is that getting built? It is. Cool. And then we just need to connect the drone ports up. And we also need to add more stone production onto this. So let's do all that. And Gliba is apparently short one miner. But that is fine. Okay, so now all this is going again. And we have landfill. And it's all just being used to produce all this stuff. That's fine though, because that's ultimately like what we need a lot of anyways. And this did get built. So you just go across to passive provider chests. And then we get our selector combinator over here, which is going to be requesting red circuits as well, and then outputting to a passive provider chest. We don't have red circuits in the logistics network, so let's get that set up. So we just need this to be an underground belt a little bit. Pass provider chest there. And that goes in. And then we'll have red circuits to make these. And let's just set this down to a tiny amount. We're not exactly going to need a huge number of them. Okay, so now you need a power pole as well. Okay, and we missed our window to deliver the items we put on Gleba support. I forgot that it'll just instantly turn around and leave if you don't do it immediately. So let's go to here and set you up to request speed modules, productivity modules, and recyclers. So then the next trip that makes, it should deliver them. And then that gets set up like so. So we have nutrients in there. And then we need to put the fresh Yumiko fruits into this, which it's going to need less than 2 per second, so probably just long-handled inserter them in. The nutrients don't need to be super fast either, but they just get to be, I guess. So, if we have all this, and then this will be making, I guess technically this will be making legendary Yumiko fruits, which is fine. It shouldn't be an issue either way, because then we can just productivity module them through up to the higher tier stuff. Okay, now we just need those recyclers to show up so that we can test if this actually works or not. Which is gonna be a little bit. Gleba support is back here on Novice, and it's just waiting. It's not waiting for anything important though, so let's just send it off. Just to save an extra 30 seconds or so. Okay, back on Vulcanus. Let's check this. This is up to 125 successful productions. And it looks like the rest of those are going well also. Now, if we check here, these guys have produced thousands of wires. And that has converted into another 9 of these. Okay, and absolutely none to spare on the productivity module side. So that is all just very slowly creeping along. Gleba support is relatively fast, so it should be up there soon. And then we'll get to see if this design even works or if it's, like, at all practical. We're going to be using a whole lot of nutrients to power these, that's for sure. And yeah, so we don't have any quality modules out here. And this setup is also going to take 12-ish. So that is going to be a whole lot. I guess technically it'll be 10, because I think we want a productivity module in each of these machines. And then, so that'll be 3 qualities, 3 qualities, 4 qualities. So yeah, there'll be 2 productivity modules and 10 quality modules. And then hopefully that'll get us something. Hopefully that'll get us something, and hopefully this all works. So let's get requester chests set up for this so that once the recycler shows up, we can do a test run. Now we don't want to turn these on yet, and obviously the test run isn't going to actually produce anything useful, but it will at least get the whole system looping around. And speaking of which, these are going to be Yumiko fruits, so we need to set all of these to that recipe. So each of these just needs to be set over, and we can just do that. And Yumiko fruits, and then you get set to Yumiko fruits. And there we go. And then you get set to Yumiko fruits. Alright. Then I think we also need to change you to be Yumiko fruits to Yumiko mash. Where's that? Why is Yumiko processing the thing that shows up, not just Yumiko mash itself? So I heard a launch, so that's probably showing up now. Why? Okay, I guess we're just gonna do Yumiko processing as our signal then, and hopefully that works. Hopefully that works. If not, it's gonna be kind of sad. Okay, so Gleba support is here. The things I was delivering have landed, and the recycling machine is in. Okay. So, you request nutrients. You request Yumiko fruits. And okay, I think we don't have Yumiko fruits in the logistics network anywhere, so let's just plop that in somewhere. And give you a drone port as well. Yeah, we didn't use the drone ports much here. Alright, so now, this is obviously very much a temporary setup. Oh, hang on. You need to be set recipe. And, alright, just for the temporary setup, we are going to loop these around to themselves. I don't know if the nutrients will be able to make it all the way, but I guess we can do something incredibly scuffed like that. Just to keep it moving in some sense. So this, we want this to be set to 100 or greater. So this does. Oh, I see. This. So Yumiko mash just recycles down to Yumiko mash. Okay. So that is good to know. Let's dismantle all of this and just load these guys back up into passive provider chests. Don't want to waste it if we don't need to. Okay, so Yumiko Mash just recycles down to Yumiko Mash, which means that in order to... let's turn those into passive provider chests as well, so hopefully this stuff just gets removed entirely. Okay, so this is good to know. So we don't get the fruits back, which means that what we actually need to do then is we take the input goes into the recycler, and then the recycler just feeds itself, right? And that's all there is to it. So it's going to be simpler, I guess. So yeah, that actually does make this a lot simpler. It's going to lose out on efficiency, I think, but all we need to do is get this out, and yes, now stuff is starting to spoil. So this just feeds back into itself. And it's annoying that this got stuck with the spoilage recycling recipe instead of anything that we actually want. Okay, so this is theoretically like all we need, right? Now, obviously, all this belt stuff out here isn't going to be a thing. So let's just take all these belts down and just try to rebuild them in a way that's efficient. So we still probably need the spoilage outlet up there. We also do need, I'm remembering, we do need the seed outlet as well. So seed outlet can go up here as well. And you're going to be filtered to be Yumiko seeds. That's all well and good. Okay. So this is all the setup we have. We actually got some Yumiko seeds. That's funny. Okay. So this is set to output filter legendary quality. And the legendary quality stuff just goes into a box like that. Although now that's actually taking up an extra tile, which, I don't know, there's no reason to do that, right? Because these are going to be tiling vertically, so we just build you like that instead. And get that power pole in. We want... yeah, so now that works with fewer power poles. So this would be our setup, basically, and then we need to deal with the excess outputs. So seeds go somewhere. Apparently Gleba doesn't have any cliff explosives. Seeds go out like that. Spoilage goes out like this. And so any spoilage which gets into here is just going to be recycled away and destroyed, so we don't need to worry about that. So this setup works-ish. So I do want this to be more compact, though. So let's think. We need a belt for the nutrients, a belt for the fruits, And we need some way of getting all this stuff out, because obviously we can't deal with those in here. So those, they can just like go underground and across and be fine. Gleba support, just continuing to ask for things which we should have by now, but never requested. Gleba support can get cliff explosives from Novice, so that those will eventually show up, and then Gleba can go down to here and request those. Okay, so now we have this. Do we actually care about the spoilage getting sent out? I think the answer is no. I think we just don't have to worry about that. And so you can also whitelist spoilage of any kind, I guess. So now the seeds go out, and I guess they just... yeah, so the seeds are not going to be able to get out easily. So let's think how much space we have here. We're grabbing stuff from there, we're grabbing stuff from there. If we wanted to, like, send things underground, have it all fit in... oh wait, I just realized the seeds can go down this way and be slightly more efficient because we're using some extra space down here anyways. So we do that, then the seeds come out, and then they just go underground, like so, and across this way. Okay, so now all of this works once we get our modules in. Once we get our modules in, this should just do it. And can we get these in again just to check like how fast these things are? So we need a couple of nutrients and a couple of Yumiko fruits. So this now gets powered up, and this is 16 to 4. This produces 6. So this basically just goes as fast as this machine will go. And even with the quality modules in, that shouldn't change too dramatically. Okay, now we've done our testing. Let's just rotate all this down. Oh, and I forgot to give you that filter. So then this all just does its thing. And let's also send those random seeds in to a box. So that can all get built up. And then hopefully they'll find some use for those elsewhere so they aren't just wasted. And yeah, seems good. Okay, this has already just decided to store up 2,000 Yumiko fruits, which we really do not want that to work that way. I guess they'll all just spoil and then it won't be a huge concern. Yumiko fruits are infinite, and we're getting more seeds than we know what to do with out of them, so it's probably just not a problem. Okay, so let's dismantle all of this stuff, which we don't need, and then dismantle those, which we don't need, and now this whole setup just goes like this. And I guess the seeds should point down because they're being returned. And then at the end of this whole line, we can just have we can just destroy the excess fruits, or we can just we can just loop them around. That won't be too hard, right? So we just need another line going back this way, and then on the ends of the line we just have to connect those into themselves. Okay, so at this point I think it's time to wait, actually no, we don't need legendary quality modules to do this because it's a lower priority than the copper, which also needs the modules. Speaking of which, we have 14 modules there, which is theoretically enough for another wave of copper. And hopefully this just keeps spiraling upwards until copper is no longer the limiting factor and plastic is the limiting factor. So yeah, 134 out of here, and compare that to the iron, which is 276. It's like half the speed per individual thing, but we can obviously just scale it up basically infinitely because this is all running off of a pipe. And one of the problems with Gleba is going to be that it's running off of solids, so it won't scale quite as smoothly. But that will be yet another bridge to cross when we get to it. In the meantime, we just need to get this set up more. So we copy all of that, and we will paste it, and I didn't hold down the button to paste it. So we paste it, dismantle the one pipe, and then all that stuff gets built. Alright, so that's all getting built. Transport platform it's got a bit of a trip to make. It's got quite a bit of a trip to make. Okay, so over on Gleba, what else is there to do? We have all this. Is there anything else that we need to set up so that when it's time to set it up, it just goes? So the other thing we need is a solid supply of Yumiko fruits. And speaking of which, let's just rotate that around and send those in. Actually, wait. Just in case, I do not know if this is important or not, but we don't want to find out that it's actually very important that the Yumiko fruit are on specifically one side of the belt. So let's just fix it like that, which shouldn't make any difference in the long term. These fruits are going to spend a little bit more time waiting in the short term. And let's actually also, while we're at it, make you a stack inserter so that the belts are less weird. So you can store up all of that. And speaking of just upgrading things with stack inserters, we might as well, right? I can't imagine this breaks anything too seriously. Just pop those in, and then go down to here, and pop those guys in as stack inserters. So now those belts will just hold a little bit more, which should be fine. Okay, so that's going. So the other thing which we need to do is we would like to set up the ability to get way more fruits out of this than we currently are. Because currently we have, like, what, 2 agricultural towers each? Which is kind of nothing. This one isn't even finished. Look at that. Okay, so that is filled. Now we have, like, a ton of this landfill, right? So if we just do something like that, then... Oh, right, so this is a biome thing, isn't it? So it has to be in the right type of biome. And some of these are the wrong type of biome, maybe? Who knows? Let's just landfill all that stuff in and just see what happens. In theory, this should become a valid planting space. As should this, but in practice that hasn't happened. So why not? What is the problem? Is it just the biome thing? It might just be the biome thing. So let's move spore cloud, remove that. And yeah, there's a... So, this is where the overgrowth soil comes in. So we need to get biter eggs up here. And other than that, it should mostly just be things we have. Okay, so, gleba support. Oh boy, if this goes poorly, it's gonna go poorly. What's the electricity grid? It's pretty terrible. So this is purely solar powered. So how long does it take a biter egg to spoil? Just so we know how long we have. You have like half an hour. That should be fine, hopefully. So we have like half an hour. I mean, gleba support certainly doesn't take that long. And we just need to get it to gleba. And then once it's here, we can zap the biters if they cause problems. Okay, so let's set up the overgrowth soil. It's water. So the biter eggs are actually the only spoilable thing in this. And they're made just in assembly machines. Okay, so that should be fine then, I think. If we just... There's a water pipe there, so this is basically a good spot for it. Pop that in. And how fast is it? One machine is reasonably quick. We can... Let's see. Assume... Oh, those can actually be productivity moduled. I was not expecting that to work. So let's do productivity and speed modules just to get this going at a quick rate. And then also get overgrowth soil as well. Full productivity modules. And power pole. Okay, so step one, get the water pipe in. And these are... We're actually going to want these to sort of go back a little bit like this to leave us space for all the other stuff we need to do. So that's the water pipe done. Then we need... Actually, we just need requester chests for these. And might as well go bulk inserters. And get a power pole up there. So we need jelly nut seeds. We need spoilage. And we need biter eggs and the basic stuff. So biter eggs go there. Then we get, what is it, artificial jelly nut soil. And now we copy paste that up, but you are Yumiko seeds, and you are artificial Yumiko soil. And you are going to be trash unrequested. And you are going to be trash unrequested. And that should get us covered. And then they just output to passive provider chests, obviously. So then you are going to request like 1,000 biter eggs, just so that we always clear them off the space platform. And then, okay, actually, I think what we want to do is actually run those along as a belt, so that we have better control over them, and they don't go through the requester chest system. So you are going to be filtered to be biter eggs. Biter eggs, biter eggs, biter eggs. Where are you? There you are. So you're filtered up like that, and then you get the power pole. And then we get ye old heating tower at the other end to destroy any biter eggs which are going to cause problems. Now, do we want to do anything to avoid wasting biter eggs, or are we fine with this? It's going to take a whole lot of them. Like, it's going to take almost 5 biter eggs per second, but this is going to be way more than that. So, how do we deal with this? So the problem is there's no easy way of detecting how close they are to spoiling. So it would be really nice to say, you know, if they have 10% of their spoilage timer left, then heat them. But I don't think there's an easy way of doing that. So instead, let's just make you a fast inserter instead of a bulk inserter. And actually, do we just stack size to 1? So a stack size of 1 would be like 2 per second. A stack size of 2 would be like 4 per second. That's probably fine. That's probably fine. And then minimal waste should happen. Okay, so Gleba support. Now everything should be set up. You can now request... Alright, let's go 500 biter eggs at a time. Don't want to go too crazy with it, but we are going to need quite a lot of them. Okay, and then the rest of this should all be set up and delivered properly. I guess the seeds we want to have higher amounts requested because we're going to be burning through a lot of them very quickly, and we don't want to be waiting on drones for them. So let's get that all set up. So this should give us our overgrowth soil. So that should be fine. And then what is Gleba support doing? Currently not anything of interest. It's just sort of flying around doing its thing. That's fine. Okay, so back to Novice. Back to investigating the supply here. We're up to 5 of them. Up to 5 of those. Still none to spare of legendary productivity modules. I wonder, are we filling up a Spidertron with those or something? Where is the Spidertron, actually? You're down here. And you... No, you're not getting filled up with legendary productivity modules. That's good. We were just actually managing to produce basically none of them, which is not good. They're probably all getting picked up by some platform somewhere. Okay, so you have 21... You have 21 on board. And there are... How many just lying down here? Just another 5. And Vulcanus is already set up with expectations on what it's going to use the next batch for. Okay, you can head back to Vulcanus then. Get those delivered. And we're going to paste another one of you down, because I think we'll have enough to finish building all of this. I think. Not 100% sure on that, but it should be fine. Let's get that drone port all the way down to there and get it powered. So that should cover us for a little while longer. Okay, so Vulcanus is saying we're missing 17 quality modules and we have 21 on the way. So yeah, that should finish these two up. Meanwhile, this is saying that this machine has finished 164. All the rest of these guys are still running. And I don't see any especially weird behavior on any of them. This one's still like a little bit ahead in terms of regular plates, but that's probably fine. It all looks like it's working. It all just looks like it's working. So that is a good by me. Transport platform is moving. Gleba support is just waiting at Gleba to do its ordinary tasks. And it's about to head back. So nothing too crazy going on. So off you go. Back to Novice. Anything happening here? No, still just waiting on our supply of copper cables. The plastic looks like it might be falling behind now. Yeah, we might actually almost be at the point where copper cables aren't the issue anymore. It's kind of hard to judge. I'm just judging that based on the fact that previously we had a surplus of legendary plastic and now we don't. So if the surplus of legendary plastic is going down over time, then that would indicate that the copper cables are now keeping up. So that might be happening. And if it is, then that'll be great, and then we can start improving the plastic production as well with our modules. We just sort of have to keep looping up between these three separate things until eventually... I mean, I guess eventually the holmium plates will be the limiting factor. Right now they're kind of sketch at all times, but mostly fine. So go back to Fulgora. We have another 8 of those queued up. Now I think we need like basically none for this, right? So the specific ratios are... You need 1 superconductor per module 3, and superconductors need 1 holmium plate per 2. So yeah, theoretically, this 40 in this box would be enough to make like 80, but it's even better than that because of the productivity modules. It's more like 1 to 5 there. So yeah, shouldn't be holmium plate problems anytime soon. It should just be the wire and the plastic and the iron plates. Like, if we can get to the point where holmium plates are the main shortage, then that's just pretty good for us in general. Alright, so Gleba support is coming back, and it's going to be grabbing some biter eggs in addition to everything else. Transport platform is almost back to Vulcanus to provide the extra copper wire. Gosh, it's really disorienting with the legendary stuff, just not quite knowing exactly how many you're producing per second. Like, there isn't any good machine that you can look at to see like the exact number, because it's, you know, some proportion of like what it's doing. Just kind of confusing. Alright, so you're here now. You can drop those off, and that will get these two machines built up, and then they can start running. And then we'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of these, which is pretty good. Okay, now this one just wasn't running at all for a bit. I guess that's probably fine. It's probably fine. Okay, so the modules have arrived on the planet, and now they're just waiting for the drones to make the trip. And we do have good drone coverage in the area, so that's not going to be a concern. Yep, there they go. Those are all filled up except for this one, which is here now. Very nice. So let's pop that pipe in and get those two set up and running. Alright, so everything is just sort of slowly accumulating here. Gosh, the iron plates are doing so well. We actually just have excess iron plates, which is fantastic. The copper is, I mean, it's got to be catching up, right? How many machines do we have? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 iron plate machines. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 copper machines. The iron plates also have a lot of this setup up here, which is helping it out to some extent. But we are definitely getting there. And speaking of which, I wonder if we want to keep this. Because, like, obviously iron plates are currently not the limiting factor by any means. We have this production area down here, which is doing all that we want it to be doing. And then this one up here, which is just sort of helping out a little bit, but also being kind of weird and annoying. So yeah, if we just take like a lot of this stuff out, we can reclaim all of these modules and push them over to the copper plate side of things. That actually seems like a very good idea. Okay, so let's start. So the first step is going to be to cut this connection here, I think. So now all of this stuff should just drain out over time. Although, actually, I still want to use all of these, though. So, never mind. We are going to... I guess we put that back in, and we cut these supplies here. So these machines don't need to exist anymore. And neither do any of these. So we can take all those out. And then this whole thing should get rid of the last couple quality iron chests in here. And then we can start deconstructing these guys as they go. Now some of these are just epic quality, but that's still something that we can have. And this is like a significant chunk of the iron production that we're dismantling here, but I think it's worth it because I think the copper is the higher demand anyways. So now we just leave this for a little bit while it throws out the last couple chunks. I saw some legendary quality iron chests in there, which we don't want to waste. Okay, so that is all out. Basically done at this point. So now we can take these guys away. And yeah, we have 2,000 in here. Is this set up? Yeah, that is set up and functioning, so we don't have to worry about that. And then we just dismantle all this mess and all of this stuff. Might as well. Okay, so that is all set up, and now we're purely relying on this iron plate production down here. But we can then copy paste a whole big chunk of these guys. Pop them down. We still don't want that connection to be true. And let's get the Spidertron to do some of that placement. And then, okay, so our storage area is all the way up here, which is taking a very long time to do anything, so that's unfortunate. But it should get down here eventually. And all this stuff gets built in. And then we'll just have to wait and see how much more of this we can even do. So now we're showing as being low on legendary productivity modules. That's not surprising. I wasn't using those over there. But we have enough of everything else. So I think we just eat the missing productivity modules, just convert those to regulars. Right, so we just do like this. Get all of those in. And we do that. So now all of this is otherwise built up. We connect it. And that is more copper production going through. And I guess just because we might as well set these to upgrade when they get the opportunity. So obviously this won't do anything until the higher tier modules show up, which might be a very long time from now. But when they do show up, then they'll get placed in automatically and I won't have to think about it. Okay. So now our copper supply is huge. And hopefully that will eventually catch us up. So the plastic supply looks like it's... Okay, so it looks like basically when we get deliveries of copper, the plastic depletes pretty heavily. But other than that, it has time to catch up. Or maybe there was some weird disruption in the meantime that I missed. Who knows? The important thing is that this is all working. And do any of these guys have supplies of legendary copper? Okay, we got 101 there, several hundred there. So that's huge. That is going to be great for me once that gets back. Now, do we have any of these at all? No. Still nothing. So we have these, it's just we don't want to send them over here until they're ready to actually be used. And the main limitation are the red circuits. Now, the blue circuit supply is still just sort of backfilling. So this is all done in terms of its blue circuits demand. Now, the legendary blue circuits haven't had any opportunity to stockpile at all. Not even a little bit. But maybe at some point they will. That would be cool if it happened. The green circuits are doing fine, because those are just being prioritized heavily. And then the red circuits are sort of the last priority, basically. Okay, so these shipments of copper are still on the way. Still very much just waiting on those to show up. We are, of course, getting the customary trickle through of local production, which is hardly anything, but hey, it's better than nothing. At least it keeps things running a little bit. And yeah, it does look like, just because of the way I've designed this, these get pretty heavily prioritized over these, which is fine. I think that's better. I think it's better that it works that way, just because we need more of these than we need the productivity modules. Okay. These are still on the way, but they're like so close. So these should arrive any second, and then we'll get to see how quickly this runs. So this is showing 499 currently, most of which are in here, some of which are elsewhere. I'm not sure what that's about. But any second now, that one arrives, and one of these also had some, and it'll be following shortly after. So then this is going to spike up to like 700 or so, and then we'll get a whole bunch of production out of these guys. And there we go. That is indeed happening. So now these get to run and make a whole bunch of copper wire, which goes down here, and we're going to produce so many green circuits. And then eventually, maybe someday, we will get around to producing red circuits. But green circuits first, apparently. So this is slowly filling up that green circuit buffer. And obviously some red circuits are being produced down here while we have plenty. So that's going to go through and make some of those, which is cool. And then some red circuits get produced here as well, which get turned into blue circuits, because of course they do. Yeah, it's just sort of chipping through. It'll get there eventually. I think once this green circuit buffer is filled, that should be a huge improvement in terms of how many of these get used. But it's just kind of rough in general. We're definitely getting red circuits through, though. So we might even get one or two of these. Who knows? It'd be cool if we did, because we need to upgrade these. Oh, we also have this whole system running. How many do we have up here? Just 5. Nothing great. Alright, let's send... The transport platform has dropped off everything it wants to. Let's send it back. So yeah, this is not keeping up to any meaningful extent. At this point, the production down here is really just like pretty significantly outpaced the production up there, which is good. That's what we want to be doing. So this area here actually has everything it needs currently. And it's just like a question of how fast it can run and how fast we can get the stupid red circuits through. Now this area up here is having no such luck. It sure would be nice if we could get more productivity modules in here. So this whole area is epic quality productivity module, which is quite excellent. But the fact that the modules themselves can't get productivity modules really stings. Because like that's the difference between 145% productivity and 50% productivity is a huge deal. Okay, so this is all running though. We're gonna get a whole bunch of them. And hopefully the copper will continue to catch up to everything else. And hopefully we don't run out of plastic too soon. Our plastic supply isn't great though, so I would not be surprised. So over on Gleba, we have these guys set up. Did they ever get anything? No, it doesn't look like it. Not sure what happened with that. We should have sent some biter eggs across. I'm not sure if they just didn't make it, or if it's been a lot less time than I thought it's been since we last checked. But we should have sent a whole bunch of biter eggs across. Maybe we just don't have biter eggs in storage to send them. That's actually something I should check. Rocket capacity is 500. So yeah, we might just not have 500 biter eggs in stock at any given time. Let's check. Biter eggs, biter eggs, biter eggs. Where do you go? You all go up here. So yeah, we've got like 200 biter eggs in stock at any given moment. So if we then scroll all the way up to here, where is the other biter eggs set up? It's like up north, or is it this? Yeah, so this is where they get used. And we turn a whole bunch of them into nutrients here, which is fine, obviously. Nothing wrong with that. We do need nutrients. Actually, I don't know why these aren't... Let's make those passive provider chests, just, you know, in case we need nutrients for something, we might as well have access to them. Okay, so let's check this. Yeah, so basically all the biter eggs are being spoken for at the moment. So that's why none of them made it across to Gleba. So let's try to figure out how to fix that. So we have some logic in here. I don't know what on earth it's all for, though. I think it's probably just mostly nonsense. So do we want to just stockpile them in here and not destroy them? Yeah, so let's... Rather than this being on a clock, let's just... We got plenty of laser turrets around here. It should be fine. No, not... Don't connect you up to that. We want to disconnect you from whatever it is you're connected to. Okay, so this... You are going to read that, and you are going to be enable disable on biter eggs are greater than 500. That seems risky. Let's get even more laser turrets in the area. Alright, so there might be a catastrophic biter invasion here, as these just gradually accumulate over time. But also I think most of them are just being sent down to the other thing down there. Okay, so then we set you Enable, disable on biter eggs greater than 200? Maybe? Although that's just going to... Okay, yeah, no, I don't like that at all. I don't like that at all because that's... First of all, it's going to create massive piles of biter eggs which are going to all hatch and cause issues. And second of all, it is going to... what do I want to say? It's going to cause, like, all sorts of chaos down here. And I also don't think it'll even work necessarily. We did wind up getting 2 productivity modules out of that burst of copper, by the way. That's pretty cool. And how many of these? 23 quality modules. That's enough to send you back and start making even more copper. That's just getting kind of silly at that point. Okay, so how do we do this whole biter egg thing? Because the way I'd previously been doing things, I don't want to do anymore. So let's say we need... What we need to do is we need to, like, set aside half of the biter eggs, let's say. We need to set aside some portion of biter eggs for being sent off to Gleba. But we can't... Let's see, how is that going to work? We need to have them set aside, but we also can't, like, wait for them. Okay, I guess what we can do is if we set your minimum payload down to 100, then we set the minimum payload down to 100. And then we have all of this, right? So we've got all these biter eggs. And what if we do have this set to enable disable greater than 100? So if we have that, that means that this will build up to 100 and then send them out, right? So this is set to 100. It's going to get a whole bunch of requests, but it's always going to have some to spare. And is this remaining time just going to continue ticking down steadily? Yes, it is. This doesn't work either. Okay, so what we need to do then is maybe a latch. So we store up to 100, then we send them out. Then we store up to 100, then we send them out. Something like that. So let's get a decider combinator in here. And you are going to read from there. And... okay, so that whole thing just connects across like a billion times. So you are going to be biter eggs are greater than 100, or biter eggs are greater than 10. Actually, let's just do greater than 0 and check mark. Check signal is greater than 0, and you output check signal. And then this will be enable disable if check signal equals 1. Okay. So now all of a sudden we just don't have any of these guys showing up. I don't know why that is. So these all then get delivered. So this should fill up to 100 and then send them out, and then fill up to 100 again. Okay, so we have this, and I wonder if we have a second one that does the same thing. Right, so now this is active, and it's going to send out its batch of 100 biter eggs. Now, if we have a second one doing the same thing, just a second passive provider chest, also filling up with biter eggs, then I wonder if we can get them to oscillate so that one of them is active at any given time. Well, let's see. Is that even helpful? I don't know if that's actually helpful though. I think just something like this maybe will do it. And I mean, it's going to stay active for a long time because it might actually just be stable because it's going to be feeding them back to here. Right, so this is the annoying part about the way I've done this, is that it just goes from here to there to here to there, and they just loop like that forever. And then they get disabled. And let's see here. What is this? Okay. So the thing this does is it makes like tier 1 productivity modules. Can I just set this up so that this whole area doesn't exist because it's complicated and dumb? So if we set you to request, like instead of like 1,000, we set you to request like 10 or so. And then we just chop that off. And okay, so we have this set up, and then yeah, so then we don't want this to be doing that. We just want to get all those 80 some out. So I think having this as the sort of weird intermediate spot that it is, I think we just need to cancel that because it's causing problems. So we need to just get all these biter eggs out, and they're going to have to go pretty far distance, obviously. And then we just need to have this just output to this whole nutrients system thing that we have here. We have 44 requesting pickup from there, and none of them are anywhere near us, apparently. Let's just dismantle that. They'll get requested at some point eventually anyways. Not worried about it. So why are the drones so incredibly slow? It just takes them forever sometimes up here. Alright, so then that connects up. This is just normal. So yeah, we request a small number of biter eggs, and then we use them to make productivity modules, and then if that's not happening, then we just destroy them. So that is fine. And this, being a much smaller number, should no longer cause any problems. So that should all be good. So now we need to go down to here, where this is where they all get stored up, right? So this is the ultimate source of them, and it seems like they're all successfully just getting sent off to the cycling area, where we're trying to make higher quality ones. And is that correct? Yes, this somehow has 600 scheduled to deliver. I don't know where it's gotten the other several hundred, but I guess it can do whatever it is that it's doing. So this is where they get stored and stockpiled. And it's got plenty of laser turrets to prevent anything weird from happening. And there's always enough pickup requests to deal with them. Now, Gleba support is here above the planet. And yeah, so currently available on planet is 0. So we need to fix that. So we need to have some way of getting those available up to the space platform, which is actually very difficult. It's actually very difficult indeed. Because we need to have constant requests for them so that they don't stagnate in the provider chest. I guess we could just build a space platform launch pad down here. I guess that's an option. And just feed it directly. And then if we did that, how do we get them out if they're going to spoil while waiting? I don't know. Let's set that up and see what happens. So we need a rocket silo. And we're just going to pop it just somewhere in this area where it should be easily accessible. And let's see here. If that gets connected across, read orbital requests. Okay, so yeah, this is what we can do. We can read whether Gleba support is in orbit or not, based on whether or not it has the requests. And then based on that, we can then fill up the silo. Okay, so we need to, unfortunately, remove some of these laser turrets. So we do that, and we need this to fill just as quickly as possible, which means you, and then you come over to here and do that. Okay, so you tell this, and actually I think we might need a combinator in between. We'll see. So you are read orbital requests, and that is going to go to a decider combinator. Yeah, let's not have that go directly. You go there. You go there. And then this decider combinator will say if biter eggs is greater than 0, then we know that it's in orbit. And then you output a check mark, and then you are set to enable disable on check mark is greater than 0. So orbital requests, okay, how is that? How do you have biter egg requests when Gleba support is over Gleba? And how is that constantly shifting? That's just reading this. How are you? Oh, I see. Okay. This connection exists for some reason, which it needs to not be. So yeah, now there's some space platform in orbit that wants uranium. That's fine. We don't care about that. So you get your filtered off. You're still disabled by control behavior, so that's all fine. But now if we said or uranium is greater than 0, now that happens, and now we need to dismantle that and send all those guys away. So yeah, that should work. So that should send things up to the space platform when they're requested, while still having things available for all the rest of the stuff. Okay, transport platform, meantime, made its way over to Vulcanus, so let's drop those down. And then we can just paste this a couple of times, probably. Dismantle the pipe so that it doesn't run when it doesn't need to. And now we need to send recycling machines down as well. And that's all good. We don't need to send it down more EM plants. Apparently we have enough of those. So all the rest of this stuff gets built up. And it's showing us as having all the quality modules that we need, although not all the productivity modules that we need. So let's get these flipped over to the lower quality ones temporarily, just so that they get filled. And there we go. That's all of them set up. That last recycler down there is going to be delayed a bit. But all the rest of this is good to go, so let's pop in that pipe and get even more copper production going. So that is all good. Now the iron plate supply just keeps going up. This one has made 359, 175 of which are currently in its inventory. So this is all good, it looks like. Yeah, so all this stuff is now producing. And this is up to 226 here. So it's not currently running the EM plant, but that's fine. Okay, so this is all going. Nothing to see here. And then we might also just need to have more biter nests as well, which we can actually produce now, right? It's not too hard, we just have to get some fluoroketone and then a bunch of stuff that we have anyways. And then we can just craft a whole bunch of these up. And then work from there with all the biter eggs that we need. So that should be fine. I don't think it's a priority right now, because I don't think biter eggs are a major limiting factor. But it is a thing that exists. And we don't want to start producing those until we actually need them. And are those... Okay, those biters seemed like they were going after the Spidertron. Let's see here. So this area down here is causing attacks. I think I saw some attacks elsewhere as well. At some point, I really need to just, like, spend some dedicated time just expanding out all of the artillery so that we just never get attacked ever. But it's just kind of a like mildly boring task to do, so I think we'll leave it for now. And let's see, how is everything else going? Transport platform, you've delivered all the stuff you need to deliver down to Vulcanus. So this is all going. And nothing crazy going on there. Yeah, nothing crazy going on there. Actually, if we look up here, these guys, most of them have modules, so I guess we can run this and start accumulating legendary quality tungsten. That'll be fun. Now, I'd had this running previously without the modules because I just wasn't paying attention, and it worked, so this should be fine. Let's disconnect these two since they still don't have modules, so that's just a waste of tungsten. And now we'll just have to see if this actually works or not, and I suspect that it won't. I suspect, yeah, instantly jammed. Instantly jammed. Alright, that's fine. This is not exactly a priority. It's just a thing that we have running in the background. Basically, at some point we'll get like legendary quality foundries and everything, and it'll be very cool. For now, though, not exactly worried about it. All this is going. We're up to 89 epics, which means it's not too long before we start running those and get another burst of legendary copper out of this top machine. Speaking of legendary copper, we've got 100 going back there and another 200-ish going back there. So yeah, things are definitely starting to pick up just a little bit. It's still nowhere near enough, but it's so much better than it was. And I think at this point, the plastic might officially be the problem. Like, we've got plenty of iron. The copper seems like it might be catching up a little bit. And then we're going to have to start sending our new legendary modules off to Gleba to start making legendary plastic. And there's other stuff we can make on Gleba, right? Once we have those. Once we have all that legendary stuff, we can make like legendary sulfur and I guess rocket fuel and carbon fiber, maybe. I don't think... Okay, legendary inserters are actually better. So they have faster rotation speed. So that's a thing that we have available to us. I guess technically we can go all the way down here if we have legendary bioflux, then technically we can convert that into iron and copper on Gleba. I don't know why we would do that, but it is technically an option. I doubt it would be more efficient than doing it on Vulcanus, though. Especially because Vulcanus is basically free. Alright, so this is all just sort of chipping along. It's not exactly fast. Did Gleba support ever get those biter eggs? Not quite. Not quite at all. So if we go back to here... This is where they stockpile, and we have all these guys built up. And so you should be set to deliver cargo automatically if it's doing its thing, right? Like if it's got a full inventory of things that it needs, it should auto-launch. I'm pretty sure that's how that works. Oh, but I realized... I'm dumb. We need to actually give it the supplies to launch, which is blue circuits, low density structures, rocket fuel. Low density structures, blue circuits, rocket fuel, and then let's give you productivity modules and a speed beacon so that you can be fast and efficient. And then we need to clear out that batch of biter eggs, because they're just going to be sitting there until they spoil. And I wonder if we can do that automatically or not. Hopefully we can, but I don't know how. So we'll just leave that for now. And we'll just have plenty of biter eggs to go pick up from that. So this is all getting set up so that we can start producing an actual rocket to launch out of this. Yeah, sometimes you just sort of forget important things, like rocket silos need supplies in order to launch. So we've got plenty processing units, plenty low density structures, plenty rocket fuel. No issues with launching stuff off in Novice at all. So that will all go. And we just need the processing units to show up. I don't know what's taking them so long. Everything else is basically here. And we do need that to be finished and ready to launch by the time the next thing shows up. Okay, there's some more view. Yeah, so that's all good. Now you are making your components as the processing units appear. And hopefully there'll be enough of them showing up to get you fully charged up. Gleba support is on its way back. And Gleba support's so fast. We need to make more space platforms along those designs. Okay, let's set this rocket fuel request up to like 60. And just for safety, low density structures up to 100, processing units up to 200, just so that we definitely have enough of everything when you take into account the long travel distance. Alright. We have completed one rocket though, so that should be fine. And that should successfully launch and get some stuff going off to Gleba. And that is that. Gleba support is on its way back. What did it have? 500 requested. And a single rocket is 500, so that is pretty good. That's about how we'd want it to line up. So this is all going. Bioflux, by the way, still doing fine. Scraping some occasional spoilage off of the belt, but nothing crazy. Okay, now this... The pickup is now lower. The number of requests is now lower than the number of biter eggs. That's actually very bad. So why is that? If we go up to here, this is churning along. It's got 700 requested to deliver. It must just be grabbing them from elsewhere in storage temporarily. So that should be a temporary problem. It shouldn't be permanent. If it is permanent, then that's an issue. Although I guess we're going to be delivering a whole bunch of them soon, so it should be fine. And we'll see if we can actually get a full rocket loaded up to deliver. We only have 200 in inventory right now, but we do have a constant stream coming in, of course. Why are you... Oh, I see. You were set to have a minimum payload. That's probably fine. Well, your minimum payload can certainly be more than 100. Let's set that to 200. Just see if that works better. Because otherwise we're just going to be wasting a whole bunch of rockets for no reason. Okay, so this is all set up. And that's off. So Gleba support now has, what, 300-ish total biter eggs. And it's going to leave as soon as it stops getting more deliveries, which should be as soon as this arrives, probably. Unless this rocket launches first. Nope, it's too late. It has left. Alright, so now we get to figure out how to automatically get all these biter eggs out. So, let's grab a bulk inserter, pop it right there, and put those into a passive provider chest. Now, at this point, I'm just speculating on how this is going to work. So you output a check mark of 1, and then you are going to be enable, disable if check mark equals 0. So what I think will happen is that this will drain the contents of the silo into this chest, and then we won't have 100 biters spawning. Yes. And then that's that, and now when it shows up again, though, this check mark will be positive, and it won't do that, so we will still be able to launch rockets. So that should be all set on that front. Now we just want to see them actually get over to Gleba. And that should be pretty fast. We're already almost halfway there. It'll go a little bit faster after the halfway mark. We're up to 9 of those, and transport platform currently has nothing. Transport platform currently has nothing. All of the Vulcanus supports are on their way back to Vulcanus. So we're not getting supplies of copper from them, but we do have a good, healthy amount built up here. Nothing crazy, but good solid couple hundred in total. And the lower couples are still getting warmed up to start producing, and that's fine. So that's all good. Gleba support is 94 kilometers per second. That's pretty dang fast. And Novice, yeah, at this point we're going to start overfilling on copper, and then it'll just be a question of getting plastic set up. So you can see the plastic belt there is depleted all the way back to there. This one's still got plenty of spare, but that probably is partially because of how few red circuits ended up getting made in this area. So yeah, that is going to be a whole thing, but if we can get the copper completely overfilled, then that would be very cool. We've got plenty of random copper plates there. It's the copper wire that's the problem. We need so much of that. Okay, so Gleba support is over Gleba. It's dropped all the biter eggs. Now, if we hop down to here, then, yeah, so these are able to keep up and grab all the biter eggs without destroying any of them. And then they start making the overgrowth soil. So that's all good. And then when some of them occasionally get through, then they just get burned and it's no issue. So that's all good. That's working. And we're just about to run out of those biter eggs. So this is also going to be a bit of a slow production line. But again, we'll just sort of have to get there eventually. And bit by bit, chip away at it. So that is that. And this is all just like preemptive preparation for when our legendary plastic supply is going to demand a whole bunch of fruits of both types. And we're going to need all of these guys to expand production. Okay, and then the biter eggs are depleted basically instantly, and that's that. Alright. So, we have overgrowth soil production, check. We have substantially more legendary copper production than we've had in the past, check. Legendary iron production still seems to be doing fine, and so it's just a little bit more scaling of legendary copper. Actually, I don't know if we will do more legendary copper scaling. And then we're just going to swap over to making this legendary plastic setup. And then once we have that as well, then we'll be fully set up and ready to go in terms of like our long-term supply of legendary ingredients. And then we can just keep scaling and keep scaling all of those things, iron, copper, and plastic, until eventually we hit holmium becoming a limit. And once that becomes a limit, then we'll have to start adding that on, and we just sort of have to keep on scaling until we have all the quality modules that we could ever need, and then we can start swapping over to other things and to using the excess iron and copper and everything to make stuff that's actually useful. So I think we're going to wrap up there for today. Thanks, Ev, for hanging out. It's been a lot of fun. And that's about it. I will be doing Satisfactory tomorrow, where I think we just finished superposition oscillators. So that's cool. We're going to be starting something new, I guess, probably. So if you're interested in that, make sure to stop by then. Otherwise, I will be back in Factorio on Wednesday. I stream every weekday from 2 to 5 Eastern Time. So if you're interested in various factory building games, then make sure to stop by for that. And follow if you haven't already, so that you know when I'm live and what I'm doing. And that's about it. Thanks, Eb, for hanging out.